2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
Good morning, America, world, New Hampshire, Concord. Grok Talk, brought to you by Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers and the bloggers at GraniteGrok.com. Well, you want to say that again when I turn your mic on?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And even good morning, Vietnam, if you're listening over there.
I don't know that we've ever had any in Vietnam. Japan, Australia, England, Germany, Italy, France, Spain,
Russia,
Canada, Russia.
several other
Mostly New Hampshire, but
mostly, but we get a fair number of world travelers here.
we do. People who are either from here and over there, or people who are over there wondering about from here. So anyway, Kevin Kervick has joined us. He's our special guest host today. If you happen to miss the little blurbs that I've been sending out into the world. And it's kind of a wide-open discussion. Just about anything is possible. You're certainly welcome to call us if you want to interject. So whoever knows the phone number, please repeat it because I can never remember what it is.
603-715-9689.
All right. So you can call us. You can join the conversation.
Set our flasher in motion.
Yes.
Set it flashing anyway.
Set it flashing. Get Ed Larkin moving.
And if I answer the phone and sound funny,
It's because he's wearing a breath mask.
that's right, because I am not 100% well.
He's got the Zika virus. No, he's got the
What?
flu. He's got the flu. Yes, we're worried because he's pregnant.
Oh,
You're kind of nasally.
I did not get out of bed to be made sport of.
Yes, you
How
did.
would it say?
You came here, didn't you?
You're still looking good, Skip.
That's like signing an
Yeah, with
affidavit.
half my face covered up. Thank you, Kevin. Just
Really
add
great.
to it.
It's great.
The top part is looking excellent.
It's a
Looking
very,
excellent.
it's a pleasing monochromatic experience. So, welcome to Grok Talk. We may actually kill him.
Mike is ducking over there.
Okay, you all right?
Yeah, we got the nanoparticles all covered here.
Yep. You give me the finger, and I'll turn your volume down, and you'll be able to go off and.
Hey, watch
Thanks
it, or I'll take my board and go home.
That's right, you will. I'll just have to do it from my living room, which I can do, by the way. So anyway, where do we start? A lot of things happen. Of course, we were talking about endorsements in the pre-show. We talked about the called it fascists versus communists because of the red state title, the riot in Chicago. We also touched on the situation with the Liberty Movement with regards to Kyle Tasker's being charged with a few things that they had some questions about, one of them being the age of consent, suitable age of consent for sex with a minor, which in this case was the point.
And we're not talking about coal dust.
Right, we're not talking about coal dust. And then, of course, he had drug charges, which we know where they stand on that. Anyway, so we can start anywhere. We can start somewhere else. Yes, sir?
I'm going to make a request.
Yeah.
You sit here because I'm going to go get the cough drops from down the street that I forgot.
Okay, turn your microphone down, turn your microphone off. We're going to have a little Chinese fire drill on Grok Talk. And thank you for loving my article on Mizzou losing 20% of its enrollment.
That is so exciting.
Isn't that sweet?
We're winning. That's an example of us winning.
It is.
Thank goodness they're losing students. And I've tried to talk to a couple of different university presidents about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we don't offer a common sense alternative back, we're going to lose.
I don't know where the muffs are. You have to figure that out.
That's going to happen to every
Switch
school
it with
around the
the
country.
one on your other one. Switch it with your other headset, since that's where he's going to be sitting. Or you could just look for one. Do you find one? Just take the one you always use. Yeah. Give him his germy muff. That didn't sound right.
We've been placating this Marxist horde for how many decades?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's coming back to bite us, and the universities are actually getting hammered themselves finally. So there's some schadenfreude with that because they deserve it. But, they need to notice what's happening. They're going to lose students. Parents are going to complain. They're going to stop sending their kids to schools that are promoting this kind of, social justice nonsense.
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, I give credit to the president of UNH, Mark Huddleston, when he came out right away after the language-free bias guide became a public document and said, no, that's not where we stand. Now, of course, obviously, he still has his entire social justice warrior infrastructure. He still has classes at his university on women's studies and gender studies and all the garbage that produces armies of people who have no useful function in a productive society.
There's a lot of cash in that still.
And there's a lot of money in that, and he's not going to do that. But he did at least step up and say that, we don't want people to know that we have this. And they took it down, and they rearranged that entire portion of their website. All the same crap is still there. I mean, they didn't change the culture so much. But at least he came out and said, you know what, from a free speech perspective, this isn't the right thing to do.
Well, a lot of our social justice lunatics are in like the third floor of the sort of student unions. They'd love to just kind of put them in a basement somewhere and give them all their grant funding and let them do all the things they do and let the professors say. But keep it quiet. But now that they're really rising up, the professors, the presidents are kind of like, oh my gosh, now what are we going to do with these people? So it's a nightmare, and schools are really in trouble.
I mean, we'd like to think that a generation from now, people would be making movies about the government funding social engineering experiments in the basements of universities, right?
That would be fun.
I don't know that that's going to happen, but it is nuts, I think some people are beginning to get it, and I think it's mostly the free speech component. We talk about the Trump thing, and we talk about how people are just saying what they want to say, and that's exactly right. I wouldn't want them oppressing my speech any more than I would want these university nut jobs oppressing my speech. I say, happy to disagree. If I don't necessarily agree with Mr. Trump on the basis of not really knowing what he would do as an elected official, then I'd like to be able to say that. There are other people who are offended by that. Some of them almost to the point of fascism, where they want to oppress my objection. They want to oppress my speech. Just a couple people, and there's people like that about every candidate. There's a very cult of personality-ishness. The Rand Paul people were very cult of personality-ish.
That's what I was about to say.
The Ron Paul people were very cult of personality-ish. And that's one of the markers for me with the Trump campaign. The people who are following him are ignoring his history when those kinds of things and other candidates would immediately raise red flags to them.
You should never follow a man.
No.
Only follow a man or a woman with ideas.
And that's true. And Trump and Carson, to some extent, are guys who have a personal charisma but no clue.
Well, Carson's completely.
Well, so what did I write yesterday? Clueless together.
You did.
But the best bit was the so Carson puts out his tweet about why he's supporting Trump, which was pretty vacuous, and the best comeback was the guy who said, "Man, he's a hell of a surgeon. He has managed to remove the last shreds of his conscience without leaving a scar."
I think he's pedolobotomy or something. He does not sound intelligent to me. When he speaks to me, I don't really get this.
It's interesting, and you talked about it at length last week, I think. Here's a guy who, and this is like, I talk to my wife about. We talk about it all the time. You have these people in Hollywood, or people in entertainment, and they're in this little bubble, and everybody around them kisses their ass 24/7 because they want to keep their job.
Right.
Because this is a vehicle for them to make money. And Ben Carson became a political vehicle for people based solely on some remarks he made at a breakfast. And then all of a sudden, so when you're surrounded by people that come in and they're constantly telling you these things, after a while, even the smartest and the most moral and the most grounded of us begin to go, well, maybe it's true. Everybody I know says it. They all tell me these things. They think I'm great. You want to sit down for a second?
At the mall.
Okay.
Veterans at the mall on the weekends.
Alrighty.
So just wanted to announce that the Femme Freedom Tour this year. Last year was at Hopkinton. This year is at the Expo Center.
Okay.
It's all free.
I will read this.
Sign up, barbecue.
Barbecue.
Speeches and
That sounds good.
I went last year.
Yeah, so you can talk about it.
It's awesome.
I appreciate it, though.
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, that they begin to just believe their own press. They begin to drink their own Kool-Aid.
And that was certainly the case with Carson. Look, Carson's a great guy. He's written some good books. probably better before he got ghostwriters, you know, and a famous surgeon, and he could retire and still be famous and be on the speaking circuit and on the golf course and really enjoy life. But he made this speech in front of Obama. It was a very good speech. It made the point. It put Obama on defensive, and a lot of people said, wow, that's character, that's courage. Well, it is, but that doesn't necessarily make him a president. And then the hangers-on, Armstrong Williams and all the people that followed on around, the business advisors, started to run the hype. I don't know who formed the committee to draft Ben Carson that started to pump it up, that was bringing in money before he had any idea whether he'd run. I find that kind
Might have been his publisher.
I find that kind of activity offensive, frankly.
Exploitive.
When you know, I mean, there was one group tried to do that, making money off of the back of Alan West when he wasn't running for anything.
Right.
There have been constant attempts for people to make money off of Sarah Palin when she's not running for anything. Like there was an attempt to draft her for Senate in the last round, for example.
Best example is Michael Jackson. You mentioned entertainment. His whole world was people making money off of him. They've literally pumped him full of drugs to prop him up on stage to make the money off of him. Eventually killed him with the overdose of drugs just to kind of keep him going.
Elvis,
similarly, probably.
Elvis,
right?
Thank you
Same
for that.
thing.
I've got to drag back out my cardboard cutout Rubio figure for Time to Go. I don't know if you saw that in a piece a few days ago where I said, I think the laddie protesteth too much.
Yes.
That was there was a picture of cardboard cutout Rubio there. You know, phony baloney, plastic banana, good time rock and roll, or whatever. As one of my heroes says.
A lot of lobby scandals with him. I don't
Yeah,
trust.
you know, the one
going
thing that I have to say is that the stuff that the mainstream media latches onto is invariably the wrong stuff. Okay, having had corporate credit cards, having looked in the eye of VPs of finance and said, "You want to give me this thing? Fine, let me tell you about this. I'm going to use it to buy whatever the hell I like." Because you're making me sign a piece of paper that's saying I am personally liable for the charges on this card. So I'm going to spend what I want and pay it off how I want, but I'm only going to expense to you what I've done for you. Okay, but you can't lecture me about what I use it for because you've made me personally liable for it.
Oh, I see.
And I guarantee you that the cards that Rubio had, he was personally liable for.
I
think
didn't understand that. Okay.
And I think he said so.
That's
now,
interesting.
fraud only exists is if he billed the GOP for activities which were personal. If he spent money on stuff that was personal and paid it back out of personal funds and only expensed what was GOP business, that is not fraud. That is just saying, you want me to be liable for this card? Fine, I'll use it how I want.
Isn't there something about a lobbyist's mother buying his house or something?
Yeah,
like
that's
that? Trump keeps bringing that up. I haven't seen it anywhere else, and it kind of worries me a little bit. You know?
Yeah, well, maybe the house genuinely was worth twice as much after a few years because real estate bubbles do happen, or maybe somebody did him a favor like Resco did for Obama.
Yeah, what I read is it's sold for $100,000 above market value, or something like that.
Yeah, but you know what? These things do happen. So the question is, did somebody do him a favor? In which case, that would be worth the investigation, or was that just catching the bubble at the right time, which all of us have done at least once. Most of us don't get lucky.
I wish I
more
could
than
get
once.
$100,000 lucky, you know. But he doesn't have a lot of money, so he's probably more prone to that because he's just paid off his college loans 2 years ago or something like that. So,
which also happened to be $100,000. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. Look, I'm not accusing Rubio of corruption. In fact, I'm more inclined to say...
There's a little smoke there, though.
I'm more inclined to say it's more smoke screen than smoke. I think the mainstream media is trying to make something that isn't there. You know, I have my differences with Rubio, but I'm not going to call the guy dishonest. Yeah, except maybe in the way that he accuses Cruz of lying.
I don't like that.
That's projection. That's basically projecting his own dishonesties over policy.
Right.
Policy, not matters of fraud.
And that had
onto Cruz.
That had a big effect on the campaign, I think, too.
It did.
It really brought Cruz down.
But it's worn off. And
I hope so.
And the guy that's in the end worse off is Rubio.
All right, we're going to take a really quick break. Skip still hasn't come back, but that's okay. He feels weird. He's probably talking to Roger out there in the hall. We'll be right back. I'm going to read this thing Roger gave me, and then we're going to talk about the Liberty Movement and teen consent for sex.
Rock